Good morning. This is Jim Sackerman from North Arlington Emergency Medical Services. I'm going to give a brief overview of the Android operating system. As you see me move through the screen, you'll see a little dot that indicates where the finger's being pushed, and we'll go over and make sure that you have a full understanding of how to launch the applications that we'll be using on the ambulance. So the first thing that you have is that you can always access a settings menu by dragging down from the top of the screen. This has not only your settings, but also gives you notifications of different applications. So I had installed a program prior to doing this training. eDispatches has activated a couple times. AT&T's ePush-to-Talk is currently active and running in the background, and I'm currently doing a screen recording session. We also know that we have full Wi-Fi usage on NAEMS, where we have our mobile data, batteries. If I need a flashlight, I can activate that. If I need to link a Bluetooth device, I can long press, get to the Bluetooth menu, and add in a Bluetooth device. And I also have my NML screen recorder settings. So different things will sometimes populate that menu. If you need to change the brightness of the screen, you can always turn it down and turn it back up. So you can change your brightness settings as well. If you tap the other little icon up here for the settings, you will get much greater settings that we have. So you can add in Wi-Fi networks, change the Bluetooth. You can change what the sound levels are currently doing. You can take a look at what apps are currently installed on the phone. And you can see what things are available that way and how much memory and other information that you might care about. In addition, many of the other settings are kind of set and static, such as the accounts that we have linked to this phone. All the Sonims are linked together through Google so that I can have a shared phone book and shared application library between them. So that way we know what phones are using what programs. So now, along with this, if you needed to access different applications, you can slide up from the bottom of the screen to see all the applications and launch the applications that are on the phones. Or if you knew which one you wanted to, you can always pull it up from the bottom and launch the application that you wanted to utilize. When you're back on the home screen, you can either get there by going to the physical buttons on the bottom of the phone and pressing the circle, which will bring you right home. Or if you had something open, you can just literally hit the left arrow on the bottom left of the phone. That'll pull you back from the phone screen that you were on to previous screens until you finally get back to the home page. If you want to see what applications are open, the physical button on the bottom right, which looks like a square, will pull open what applications are currently running and allow you to toggle them on, off, and do whatever you need to in them. Now, if you look, we actually have more than one home screen. I try to keep it neat and tidy by getting rid of extra icons. That way you can just pull up from the app drawer where they're alphabetically organized. On the right-hand side, though, if you pull over one screen, you'll see the phone settings. So these ones were originally not supposed to be able to dial out, but apparently they can, so we're going to go with that and let us use them if we need to. We can access the police on the dial. I can set up direct ones using this thing called the widget maker.
Police Department. If this is an emergency,
You can hear it dialing right now.
on the line for a dispatcher. For additional department options,
If you need to access the
press 2
keypad,
now.
you can access the keypad. So again, you do have different options for how you can actually utilize the phone. You can either put it on speakerphone, have it regular. Along with that, if you need to access more numbers, you can hit the phone dialer itself. And you can see that this is the favorites. These are the two numbers I recently called. The call log, you can see when I called them. And with the phone book, we're going to be adding in more numbers as we go through. But so far, I've been going and setting up all the fire departments under fire, all the police departments under police, NAEMS per diem members under NAEMS, NAEMS operations members under NAEMS ops, NAEMS members underneath NAEMS, obviously. I'll be adding in the badge numbers once I have a list of them. And once we've set this on one Sonim, it will go to the other Sonims as well. As I add in all the hospitals, you'll see that I put them in a Z hospital setting. That just allows you to, when you open up the menu, scroll all the way down to the bottom and really quickly access the hospitals before you go to the hospital or however you need to do the report. So that allows you to quickly get to them, and that's why they just have a Z in front of them. So as we go through, we'll be adding in more of them. Right now we have the standard ones, Clara Moss, HUMC's PEDS and their trauma division. We'll be adding in more numbers from university once we get a little clarification on which ones they want called. We'll throw in things like REMS as well that we can call them if need be. So that is the phone options that we now have on the screen as well. So I put them on a different screen so that you don't accidentally tap it throughout your daily travel. So hopefully it prevents any speed dials. And right now the only speed dial we have is PD, which we'll understand if we do accidentally call them. On the bottom part, you do have your applications. You have your e-push-to-talk from AT&T, which we'll go over in further detail. We have our IM responding, e-dispatches, Google Maps, and Google Chrome. Google Maps, if you've used it on your phone, should pretty much be the same if you've had iOS and Android. You type in your address. Once you've typed in where you want to go, it'll also give you live traffic updates too. So a lot of times during the snowstorms, you'll see I have something like this up in my office. That way I know what the road conditions are like and probably the best approach to a hospital. So once you give your directions, you'll get an idea of what the traffic mapping is. So surprise, surprise, hey, there's a little bit of traffic congestion right on Belleville Turnpike going over the bridge. There's a little bit of traffic right at the intersection of Franklin Ave and Mill Street. Claremont Drive, well, still a little bit of traffic as usual. So again, they go through and they show you what the live traffic looks like, and that's where it's a valuable resource, especially during snowstorms. So I'm going to close these things for right now. We're still recording the screen, which is good. I thought I closed that for a second. So our e-push-to-talk app is probably the one that gives a little bit more trouble, so we're going to go over that one in greater detail. For the IAR, remember that you can get your case numbers from that. So if you pull up incidents, and you go to the most recent one, you should be able to pull the case number from it, the address. You can always verify to make sure that they gave you the correct address. Sometimes the dispatcher types a street in wrong because they're entering it really quickly. Other times they may put street instead of place, so just verify to make sure those are correct before you chart them that way. Usually they're pretty good, but sometimes they do make mistakes. Along with this, if there's other apps that need to be added in, we can always do it through the Play Store. So far I've yet to have to restrict anything, but we really shouldn't be throwing games on the Sonims that are used for the ambulance stuff. There are some programs that will accidentally start recording screens, and if you do have anything that's sensitive patient information up here, it might be some type of a conflict that we want to avoid. So don't just arbitrarily install things. If you want to know if it's acceptable, you can run it through myself, you can run it through Chris. We already have a library of things that are available, so earlier before the ERG wasn't added in, so I just went and added it in. Triage isn't installed in here yet, so I can hit the install button and I can add that one in. Because this is basically a list of things that we've already had on the phone. So again, if you need to, we can always add this in. Someone must have tried to add a game, so we can wipe that out so that people don't have that in the library. Then I'll just find out what phone it's on and make sure that it's not on there. So again, we don't want to have to lock that down, so just make sure you guys are acting responsibly. Now, the e-push-to-talk app you would launch through here, and I'm going to do that as part of a separate video. That way those of you that are familiar with Android and know how to switch around between screens don't have to suffer through this previous video. Alright, so you have a wonderful day, and I'll see you in part 2 of the video.